And there are things that, that there is a distinct Nigerian English. There are things that I will say to you, and if you're not Nigerian, you might not necessarily understand, but it's English, but we've done things with it. And I think the same, like you sort of read some Indian fiction, for example, and you see that things have been done to English in a way that, that I think is fantastic. And then to say that English is in ours is ridiculous to me. What I do think, though, is that what's changing is that you find that what publishers and when we say the West, we really mean England and the US, don't we? That they are more willing to take risks with books that don't fit all the ideas of what a novel should be. Right? When I was trying to get Purple Hibiscus published in the US, I had a really difficult time. I sent out letters to agents because I had done my research and this was how to get a book published. You find an agent. And I remember thinking at the time, oh, it'll be fine, I'll get an agent in a week and all will be well. And it took a year and a half, and about 30 rejections. Most of them were very kind, and they said, your writing is good. However, Nigeria, I can't sell it. Nobody knows where Nigeria is. And then an agent who I've spoken about very often, who said to me, I really like your writing, but can you use the African material as background and set the book in the US? Because to this agent, this was the way to sell it. You're setting a book in Nigeria, nobody knows where it is, there's just no point. And I think that's changed. I think that today, and this was happening in 2002, I think today somebody who started off writing, and you write a good book and you send it to an agent, I think the agent is less likely to say, where's Nigeria? However, I was told recently that there's an agent in London who people have been sending work to, particularly Africans, and who said to them, I want something like Chimamanda Adichie. This is not like Chimamanda Adichie. And that's another problem, because we don't all want books that are like Chimamanda Adichie. But it's a starting point, I think. So I do think that it's changing. People have spoken about how when Knopf, the publishing company in New York, had a man called Sonny Mehta as the head, Sonny Mehta being Indian, that it then started sort of a renaissance in publishing contemporary Indian fiction. And the idea now is that we might be having that in African fiction. And I hope this is true, but we do have a lot more African books being published outside of Africa, and I think that's a fantastic thing, because what it means is that people can read African stories told by Africans in a way that they just haven't for a while. There's a woman in red at the back.
Yeah. I want to know that both your books have a backdrop of the war. So your next book, what would be your topic of interest? And the second thing is, when you said that in the early days when you were writing, there were certain things that you considered was not very good quality work, like the writing wasn't up to enough. When do you really distinguish? How can you say that a particular piece of work is good and not good? Bad. That's the word we use. So.
I don't consider the background of Purple Hibiscus to be war. I suppose it's political instability, but I don't really consider it war. And the next book I'm too superstitious to talk about. So, but I think generally, I don't look at my work in terms of theme. I just follow a story that comes to me. And in some ways, I think that the job of a writer isn't to think about theme. The job of a writer is to think about character and language. And it's other people who then sort of say to you, your theme is this. And then you say, all right, if you say so, right? And when I talked about work being bad, I do think it's important as a writer to have the capacity to and it's difficult, of course, to, I certainly want everything to be well and good, but I think there's sort of an honesty that comes with it, and a humility as well that one has to bring to writing. And that you need to know, I don't have a formula for finding out when it's bad, but I sense it. I know when I've written a story that isn't very good. And often it comes from I think it comes from the genesis of the story. So, and I'll give you an example. When I was when I was trying to get this book published, Purple Hibiscus, I was having a really difficult time. And then I had these agents who were saying to me, set it in America and use the African material as background. And then I went to the bookshops and I realized that the books that were selling and that were being published by people of color were the immigrant books. So there was a woman from China who had written the Chinese immigrant book, and then there was a Japanese woman, and then there was the Indian woman